Hello biologists, we are going to be looking at communicable diseases. This is from OCR Specification A for A-Level Biology. We're going to be looking at points A and B from the first bit of communicable diseases. So the first thing is we need to know what a pathogen is. And I have a couple of examples on here. These are very popular in multiple choice questions, so you need to be aware of each one of these. We also need to look at how they're transmitted between individuals with reference to vector, spores, and also climate and social factors. Okay, so the definition of health, first of all, this is from the MARC scheme. It's free from disease, illness, physical, mental, and social well-being, good nutrients, and suitably housed. Therefore, disease must be an impairment of those, malfunction of the body or mind. This is not from the MARC scheme. It's just what I think would be a good definition as well. Okay, parasite. Here are a couple of examples. We've got the knit and the tapeworms. And a parasite is an organism that lives in or on a host and harms the host. They take nutrients from the host and feed on the host. So that bit in the red, I've seen more on more than one exam paper. The bits underneath, I've seen on an exam paper before, but not on this. It's not as common as the bit in the red box. So some examples are tapeworm, head lice, and plasmodium. Plasmodium we're going to look at shortly. That's linked into malaria. Now, they can normally go unnoticed, but they can cause secondary infections, which is where the problem comes from parasites. There's a really good clips on Monsters Inside Me from some parasites. If you're interested, you can look at these further. I'm not sure the second clip works anymore, but Monsters Inside Me's got some great parasitic organisms there. So a pathogen, these are microorganisms that cause disease. They can take nutrients from the host and damage it in the process, for example, TB and HIV. Now, there's a couple of things we need to know about bacteria. We already know the prokaryotic cell works, but bacteria, they reproduce really quickly, cause disease by damaging cells or releasing toxins. An example of this would be cholera, which is a waterborne disease. Got fungi. An example of this is athlete's foot. This is caused by the fungus Tinea, and it lives under the skin. And the reason why it gets so itchy is because you have these reproductive hyphae that try and grow to the surface of the skin to release the spores. And that's what's causing the irritation and the redness to do with this particular fungi. We get viruses, so we've got common cold, influenza, HIV, AIDS, and also coronavirus as well. These invade the cells, take over the genetic machinery. So they basically insert their own DNA into ours, and our DNA, our body will replicate their cells. So our cells make more copies of the virus. And the host cell eventually bursts, releasing the new virus, and this is what makes us ill. Another one you might not have heard of is Protoscista. So Protoscista, an example of this that you need to know is malaria. These are eukaryotic organisms. They have membrane-bound organelles, and these harm the host. These harm by entering host cells and feeding on the contents as they grow. So Plasmodium is actually the name of the Protoscista that invades your red blood cells, which makes you ill, and it's carried by the vector of a mosquito, which is where people get confused. It's actually caused by Plasmodium, which is the Protoscista, but it's carried by the vector Anopheles, which is the female mosquito. So you get two different types of contact and transmission between diseases. You've got indirect and direct contact. So the first one, indirect, vehicle-borne, so air, objects, blood, food, for example. Vector-borne, flies, feet. The vector I just mentioned, the Anopheles, which is the female mosquito. I've got direct contact, so this is any form of touching, sexual intercourse, kissing, and also mother to baby through the placenta as well. So these are just got a number of different pictures to do with those as well. Okay. Couple of questions there. If you decide to practice on them, the answers were before, so you can go back and have a look at the previous parts of the video. Okay, so we've kind of covered what's a pathogen and what is health. There are specific diseases that we need to know about, which I'll cover in part 2 of this video. This is part 1. So we'll cover these different organisms and what they do in a minute. Some quick check questions, again, if you wish to have a go at this, but this is what you need to know on those organisms, which we'll move on to in the second video. Okay, so the second video will start shortly.